गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गन शॉट। गन शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे वी गोना टॉक ऑफ सिविल मिलिट्री टेक्नोलॉजी फ्यूजन and we're going to talk of this in the backdrop of what happened day before yesterday in IIT Madras, where we opened something called Agnishodh, which is the Army IIT Research Center, right? And we're going to give an overview of that, and then we'll head into the issues involved. And at this point of time, joining me is General Hari Mohan. Right down the line, I expect General Dushyant and General Rajiv Narayanan to join in. Okay, with this, let's get going. What we'll do is, before we touch upon this business of civil military technology fusion, I'll give you an overview as to what this Agnishodh is and what actually happened. Okay, look, we started this whole program by saying we need civil military fusion. That was a start. And we discussed 2 weeks back about the political military fusion, information, strategic communication, and new technology fusion, industrial civil military fusion, economic and financial fusion. Now, out of these, we have discussed political military bureaucratic fusion separately. And today we're going to talk about new technology fusion. Now, like I said, we're going to talk of new technology fusion in the backdrop of what happened or what we what we are attempting in IIT Madras. In IIT Madras on 4th August, the Chief of Army Staff inaugurated Agnishodh, which is the Army IITM Research Center. Okay, and this is just to give you a photo of this is self. General Rajiv Narayanan in the center, and in the side here, General Hari Mohan receiving the Chief of Army Staff, the initial thing, and then this is the actual cutting of the ribbon. And interestingly, I must tell you, the Chief of Army Staff doesn't do any inauguration on his own. It's the junior most officer in that gathering who cuts the ribbon, which is a new tradition in the army, which is a very laudable tradition. Okay, and then of course we went and gave a brief. This was part of the briefing. It was a standing briefing. You see self and Rajiv Narayanan doing the briefing, and it followed by his address. The chief gave an address to all those who were present of students, faculty, and staff of IIT Madras. And then, of course, you see here, General Dushwant was also there. He was representing clause. In fact, he's Director General clause. He was also part of the proceedings. And then thereafter, there was a panel discussion on using of technology as an instrument of deterrence, and with General Dushyant was part of it, and I chaired that session. And then there was an exchange of mementos. Here you see General exchange of mementos was between Indian Army and IIT, and this what you see on picture on the view file here is General Dushyant and IIT Dean ICSR of IIT Madras exchanging MOUs, and this MOUs was between clause and IIT Madras. And on the stage, you also see General Hari Mohan here, General Rajiv Narayanan, General Dushyant, and self. I do hope these two land in, because I think General Dushyant is on his way back from Gandhinagar after attending a seminar. I'm sure he'll join in a little later. And so I hope with General Rajiv Narayanan, he's got stuck in some traffic or something like that. Okay. Now, what is this Army Design Bureau all about? You have to understand this. This is the fundamental concept of Army Design Bureau. It has 3 tires. The blue tire is all the user nodes, right? And we have established or in the process of establishing user nodes at School of Artillery, which is the first node which we have established, Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, that is MCTE, Army Air Defense College at Gopalpur, where we have started actually interacting with them, and the Armored Corps Center and School, Ahmednagar. And more will join in as days go by. The bottom, tire, the blue tire or the yellow tire, is all about industry. Right now we have Munitions India Limited, Bharat Dynamics, Bell, and Rafael Memfiber. which is a startup which has joined. So it represents startup. Okay. And in the center, you have, the thinking and the design and policy and, planning and all that. With this Agnishodh, the center at the, core of all this, we're going to be having academic programs. They're going to have research and design and development. We're also going to be linking with other IIT, CSIR labs, DRDO, ISRO, and PARC. So there's going to be a big thing. It's a small beginning at this point of time. What I'd like to put across to all of you is this, that anyone who's interested in joining this journey of, you know, civil military technological fusion is welcome to join. And we're looking at new cutting edge technologies and all that. You don't have to be, what my major message to everyone is, you don't have to be part of IIT to join us. You can be apart from that, right? Whether you're from industry, you're a startup, or you're an academic institution, you're a researcher or a student, it doesn't matter. Anyone who wants to, contribute to, for Atmanirbharta in defense forces, getting new cutting edge technologies in, using dual use technologies and repurposing them for the armed forces, or you want to be innovative and do something out of the box, please come. And if you're a startup from within IIT Madras ecosphere, you get automatic incubation from, the research park which is there. If you're from outside, we'll help you get in the complete incubation process, including finance, venture capitalists, everything. And you really have to come to a research park to understand what the whole scenario is and why this small center is part of that research park. In a large measure, this is itself a small startup, right? This is what I had to put across initially. Before I get to the subject proper, I'd like General Hari Mohan, because he was there yesterday, and not only there yesterday, he was there. He's been part of the conceptualization of this whole thing and ensuring that this comes through. Uh, and I'd like him to give his perspective, which could be completely different from mine, and that's the whole story. We want different views, and or reinforce what I have said, and but put across his point of view. Hari, your views.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for calling me on your show. Uh, Firstly, one has been in the system for 39 years. One has seen how research gets always put on the backside, and at the end we end up procuring things from abroad. Many a times we find that it is our brains which work abroad and and produce those items which we buy in as imports. So that has been an experience once when one was serving in the forces. And though DRDO has a very vast setup, very well established laboratories, but it has got a huge canvas. And many a time, what happens is the DRDO, because it has its own agenda, it does not keep pace with what the armed forces actually need at the time. And it results in a gap in which large amount of problem statements get lost and thereby do not materialize as indigenous products. To a large extent, post the DAP 2020, and to some extent even after DPP 2016, these things were put straight by including some more categories into a procurement scheme, where DRDO was entitled to identify production partners upfront and go ahead and do their research and production simultaneously. The ATAGS or the ATAGS is one successful result of that kind of a story. And it should also be pursued because the big ticket things will still require large amount of budgets, which the DRDO, by means of its existence, does have. So that notwithstanding, there are large number of smaller problems. I'll share an example with, let's say, night vision devices, which the Indian Army was struggling with in the early about a decade ago. And then we went scouting all over the countryside. We found that people were willing to or put up shop willing to establish concerns to make these night vision devices, but they did not have the technology. In today's world, nobody is willing to share technology. Technology is very premium. And therefore, we were struggling to find how to make these people who were interested in producing. They were startups or MSMEs, smaller industries, who wanted to get into defense productions. And to that extent, we found there is a gap in which where the DRDO can come in and where the industry needs. And thereby, we started interacting through the army, creating an organization called the Army Design Bureau. And we started bringing in various levels of academia, wherein IITs were brought in, and we started sharing the problem statements with them. The last 10 years, we have been doing this, but we find that this itself is not a solution because the Army Design Bureau gets overloaded. And it has also got a role in looking at the high end purchases and the emergency purchases, which the Indian Army is undertaking. So, therefore, this particular initiative that we have taken, and General Shankar has been the architect of it. I have also had a little bit of contribution towards the end, trying to push this whole thing through. It was very difficult to push it through the bureaucracy, but then finally people saw the light of the day that a organization, a center, which actually acts as a conduit between the user, the developer, and the producer is very much necessary, and it is not a competition to the DRDO establishment in any means, because it is not that any kind of research is going to come out of DRDO. Actually, in my mind, when I was talking to some DPSUs about this idea, they were very encouraging because they said it sorts out large amount of their problems because they can look at low end research or other lesser budgeted research through a consortium of this nature, while they go to DRDO for high end research, which continues to go ahead. So this will become a good conduit where we have the user, the developer, and the product producer in one platform. We will try and find solutions wherever possible from within. If the solutions requires a wider degree of participation, this conduit can also expand. That's how General Shankar laid it out. The center part of the slide indicates that it also involves other academia like IITs, which are spread over the countryside, which have their own degree of specializations. It is also going to involve all the laboratories, defense-related and civilian laboratories. And that is where the civil defense fusion will come in, because the IITs, by their structure, have got larger access to civilian establishments and laboratories, which DRDO finds difficult to work with. And we can bring those elements into production here also. And lastly, I guess we may not just restrict ourselves to defense production. We can look at dual technology kind of things, which can actually have larger ramifications in terms of creating export-oriented products, which have both civil as well as military application. And that is where we can encourage large number of young entrepreneurs who are coming out of our establishments to set up their startups and begin small end defense production or defense related production, which we can handhold them to see that they get to their production status, and thereafter they can grow. And the way the startups like Mintra, etc., has grown in the early part of this millennium, I am sure if we do our jobs correctly, we can see a fair number of youngsters, young startups coming up and making this a success. I don't expect this to become a DARPA as such, but then I will say this could be possibly the first step towards a large escalatory ladder on DARPA. I use the word escalatory ladder because we have to climb. But yes, if you don't take the first step, you can't climb that ladder. So this, in my mind, is the first step towards a very, very long journey. And I hope people who are listening to it, people who are interested in this in this field, come forward and make use of this facility which has been created at IIT Madras.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Look, General Hari has come out with some ideas and some things, actually valid, very valid. But I'd like to now add on. And as we go along, we'll unfold this business of civil military technology fusion. Actually, if you look at this whole story is about civil military technology fusion. We are doing defense research in a completely civilian environment. That's the first thing which comes out. The second thing, this fusion is through this user nodes. If- Just to give you an idea, whatever we develop in IIT Madras, after all, IIT Madras has got tremendous research value, tremendous research potential, tremendous intellectual potential, but it doesn't have test nodes, beds, and all that. All these are being created. And as they're being created collaboratively by with the user nodes. So in all this entire development process, the users are hand and glove with this thing, which for whatever reason is not there with the DRDO. It's not there today between the armed forces and the DRDO. This kind of intricate or intrinsic coordination and hand holding is not there, right? And we do all our testing, everything from scratch to the end in the in front of a user with his participation and with his help. If he doesn't help, we can't do it. So that's the first thing. And secondly, we are driven by this whole Agnishodh will be driven by requirements of the armed forces. Okay, small requirements. It's not big projects, small projects, but effective projects. Because today, all technologies, if you see, are can be made in garages, but their impacts are strategic in nature. And unfortunately, our DRDO is not on that track. Our DRDO has grown for big technologies, strategic technologies, but it is not nimble or agile to handle cutting edge technologies. Right. And the cutting edge technologies today are resident in IITs, NITs, and other top rated engineering colleges and technology colleges which are there in the states. So we need to tap that. So that is something which is there. This is the intellectual property which is resident in IITs. And that is how being in IIT Madras, I pioneered this. It started much before. I've been at it for the past 3 to 4 years. It's taken me that much to put this on ground and now someone to inaugurate it and all that. And it has a way of going forward. In this process, we've incorporated the production agency right from the beginning. In some cases, it's a production agency. Like Bell has given us a project for an 80 rocket. I'm just giving you an example. We did this entire thing and we tested it at School of Artillery. Air Force item, we tested it at School of Artillery. So we've done all this. This thing is going. And yeah. The second thing is this is the first step. We don't know. I don't know whether tomorrow it'll be DARPA or whatever it is, like what General Hari Mohan has said. But it has to be something. And if you don't take the first step, you'll never take the second step or the third step. You don't know where it is. And you might come into a system which is far better than the earlier one. Okay. The next point which I want to highlight is, General Hari Mohan said, look, this is not in competition with DRDO. Well, I agree with him. Largely, it is not in competition with DRDO, but it is also in competition with DRDO. Yes and no. Why? Now the Indian Army, the government, and India is telling the DRDO, look, there are alternate centers of research. Today, it is not a threat. I won't say it is not in competition with the DRDO. But tomorrow, as technologies progress and as IPR gets made and technologies get inconstant, and anyone who makes technology doesn't give it to anyone else. So the best technology is what you make and what you own. So once that starts happening, then the DRDO has to start rethinking the way it's making technology. To that extent, it's going to be given competition. And the interesting thing in this entire concept is the technology will be owned by the armed forces. That is the important thing. At the same time, we are going to be in collaboration with DRDO. If you see here, there are certain projects in which we are in collaboration with DRDO. And we are not only collaboration in DRDO, we are also collaboration with ISRO, BARC, and other labs and all that, which have technology. They are the repository of technology, so we can tap that. And IITs by their nature, by their international engagements, by their international collaborations, and cross discipline engagements, have a lot of intellectual property which we now get on. So far, our startups or our professors who are into research, into defense research, didn't have a platform where they can come and converge and say, look, this is what is there with us. Will you consider it? So far, the startups used to keep loafing around IDEX, AO, and all that, but they didn't know how to get into the whole game. The users didn't know how to tap into all these small things. And, you know, they didn't have a platform. Agnishodh does all that. And interestingly, unlike DRDO laboratories, which are in well-established laboratories, they've done a yeoman job for many things, but they're standalone. They're not part of us. They are a standalone system, right? It is inhibitive to go into a system like this because you have to go through various layers of bureaucracy, security, and a small startup will not dare enter that gate also, and he'll struggle. That's how it is. And a small startup doesn't have a way to go to the army headquarters and say, "Sir, I have this. Can I show it to you?" All this is going to be bridged by this uh, Agnishodh. Why? The Agnishodh has gone. No, it's that old story. It the Muhammad has to go to the mountain or the mountain goes to Muhammad. So far, Muhammad didn't have a way to go to the mountain, and the mountain was definitely not coming to Muhammad. So what we are doing is we are moving both. Muhammad also towards the mountain and the mountain towards Muhammad, getting that the bridge, and the bridge is the most important. This is going to be manned. The Agnishodh is going to be manned by professors of repute, outstanding professors of great quality and international repute, with the ex army officers and experts like us, General Hari Mohan and everyone else, General Rajiv Narayanan, and all that, plus actual serving officers. So there's going to be a happy mix of intellectual ability, which you're going to fuse together. This is a model for fusion which you put across, and I'm spending time on this because I've spent a lot of time to get it to this level. And this is I at least already a couple of youngsters have reached out to me as students. So how can we plug into this? So there's a plug and play system for almost everyone. And for those who want to come and sit and work, you don't have an office. You want to come from outside, sit 4 days and work. And, for example, you're a startup in Ahmedabad, or for that matter in Leh, I have no problem. Even if you're in Leh and you want to do something, or in Guwahati, you want to come and do something and do anything, and right? You don't know where you want to park yourself. You don't have an office. Come, we'll give you office. For those 4 or 5 days, we'll give you space to sit and work. You don't have to go anywhere. That's the kind of a rollout we'll give you because we have space. If not, we'll make space, right? The idea is to how to make you succeed. And the cost is not involved. There's no demand that you have to pay for all these services. That is being provided by the army. It's a window by the army. It's something like an internet cafe. It's there. You can have coffee or you can play the internet. Okay. These are the things which I thought I'll put across to you. Any further views on this, Hari? Then we'll touch upon technologies.
So I'll trace back 2 decades. After Op Vijay, we changed the charter of procurement, and the aspect of offsets, was given more importance. And large number of small concerns began their journey into defense production based on the procurements which Indian Army, Armed Forces, I won't leave it to the Army, because any import which came thereafter came with a commitment of a percentage, almost 33% of the contract value as offsets. And these companies in which they got invested, it has taken 2 decades, and one has seen these companies grow. And kind courtesy that offset plan, which was foreseen by our predecessors, today in Indian defense production, we have a very large number of small medium private players who are producing a large amount of components which go into larger assemblies. And that is how many developed countries have taken their defense production in the early part of their movement. For us, if I was to say, we were 4 decades too late to start this journey, but we have started. But where these offsets are struggling today is they don't have neither the funds nor the resources for independent research. So when you look at that shortfall, organizations like Agnishodh, which has a very large academia intellect, it has got connect both upwards and downwards toward and laterally. When I say upwards, it goes towards the producers, downwards it goes towards the users, and laterally to the various laboratories that are available for exploitation. So we can, as we can help people, make those shortfall of research meet. If there are any areas where our smaller industries which are actually performing, in fact, I can say now that most of our emergency procurement needs are being fulfilled by these small and medium enterprises which are burgeoning everywhere in the country. I was chief of staff of Northern Command, and every day I used to interact with at least 10 entrepreneurs who wanted to produce something for the defense related equipment. So these guys are all there. You see all these defense expos that are held at various places in the country. Earlier, we used to have one every 2 years. Now, I guess we have almost 6 every year. Every command runs its own defense expo, and then there is one which happens centrally, and then Air Force has its own, the Army has its own. So there are so many of them, and all of them you find new concerns coming up, who have very good collaborations with the people abroad, but they want to start breaking up from them and becoming self-reliant within the country. And to that effect, I think this is a very good option for them to connect. And I'm sure the lower end, which you're seeing as limited numbers, mostly DPSUs and erstwhile OFBs, will get collated with larger number of smaller concerns which are struggling to find money and resources for research. And I do
Yeah.
hope some of them connect with us in due course of time, along with their problems, and we will see that we can bridge those gaps where they are struggling.
Yeah, I think that's very well bought out. The bottom line, which is here, this is the industry thing. These are only representative at this point of time because it's only the DPSs who have come forth. But I'm sure Rafael Fiber is basically a startup. I'm sure over a period of time, more will come in. I have no doubts about it, and will populate them. The interesting thing which I've seen about people here is they also need technologies. And they need technologies to improve their production systems, their small things to make small, I won't say small, they're critical. They need critical technologies to modernize everything. We can help them, right? Also to give, respond to emergent requirements. Okay, you can't go through the DRDO route always. The DRDO is too heavy for all this. So where do they get a light way of doing things? And plus, it also helps all these DPSUs, private people, everything, to start funding research which they themselves can't do. For us, any company to have a research system is going to be difficult. They have to invest in the infrastructure, all that, and the technologies which are required for research are huge. On the other hand, if they come to the Agnishodh will help them carry out research. The research will be theirs, the IPR could be theirs, but the intellectual thing and the test centers which will come up will be based on Agnishodh. And just to give you an idea, we've already started developing uh, testing equipment and laboratory skills and equipment and all that within IIT or the IIT structure, which will be used not only for one project, but because once you develop a technology and you have the wherewithal to develop that particular technology, you need to adapt it to other applications, and for that you need the same equipment which you want use for developing that technology for others. So this is an investment which is going to happen over a period of time. The second thing is, on the top, if you see, I've given user nodes. We have spelled it out user nodes. These are user nodes where we are going to have an interaction with the user. But does our interaction with the user stop here? No. This is an army node. Anyone in the army who has an idea can push it here. In fact, I would like all those who are from the formations, from the command, from the corps, from the divisions, from the brigades and the battalions, wherever you are, please do come and give us your problem. Come and interact. Even you might be on leave, you might be on TD, you might be on anything. Come and have an interaction with us in Agnishodh. Right? And if you can, before you come, project your requirements and your broad problem areas, we will line up those people who can respond to your issues. If not, we'll move along. But we need more. Your commanders, I would request all commanders at every level to come and have a look at this and see it is your center. It is the center for the army. And if before you think I'm only parochial to the army, it's not for the Air Force and the Navy. No, the Air Force and the Navy are also welcome to join in with their problems. Right? I must say at this stage, there is a tri-service system of this, which is going to be a larger system than this coming into being. That's in the process. We have established this as a forerunner. Maybe in times to come, the Agnishodh will get subsumed by the tri-service system. But that's in the future. But at this point of time, through the Agnishodh system, we can do everything. The other major thing about the system which the Army headquarters has taken a call is, most of their small procurements, most of their small projects are going to be funneled through Agnishodh. And they're going to be given to Agnishodh through that. So this becomes a conduit for many things. And the army is very clear that it needs a system on which it can call its own. Right? It doesn't want. And also import substitution. Import substitution is a huge thing. Okay. And if you don't have technology for import substitution, a lot of problems are there. If you want to upgrade an old item, old weapon system with new technologies, you need to have a different approach, because many times that weapon system is no more in production by anyone. Nor do you have the technology for it. How do you do it? So you reinvent the technology, and that is where Agnishodh comes into play, because at this point of time, we don't have anyone in India who can do this reverse engineering to recreate and upgrade old systems. Right? We don't have a formal systems, and this is one method which we have thought of. Okay. Apart from this, we are also open to international collaborations. We already have in a couple of cases. We have no problem if people are going to come from outside and want to join in as a program, as a joint program between Indian government and that government. We also are open to the fact that we will train people in academic programs, so that those people who want training on certain technologies, or who have to be given, mass-based technological orientation, also will be done through this center. So this center is just not it's not a one-dimensional center. In the era of multi-domain operations, this is a multi-dimensional center. And that is something which people have to understand. And people can, all those who need it will use it. Of course, we can keep discussing it otherwise, but that's one other angle. I'm sure by now General Hari Mohan has got some ideas of his own. Why don't you come up with your thing? Because, yeah.
So firstly, like you brought out, most of the current technology of major weapon systems are actually systems of systems. So it involves a very large number of smaller assemblies, which are actually the requirement, or the requirement of producing that goes to smaller concerns and MSMEs. I can say that more than 80 concerns worked on the ATAX project and contributed in some manner or the other. Now, out of this, a large number of products, because we cannot produce in India, are also imported. It can be imported as an assembly as a whole, or part of an assembly, or maybe something on which the assembly is riding on. It could be hardware, it could be software. And therefore, every content that we are manufacturing today has a degree of international content, or what we call as foreign content. And as a rule, we have pegged it to, let's say, around 40%. That is what the government wants. But for any new research, this generally goes up to about 55-60% for the prototype. And slowly, in the subsequent production levels, the degree of indigenization, because the money comes to the concern, and they are able to invest more money in research and development, and indigenizing those components starts. Example for that is that K9 Vajra, which has come into the Indian Army. Initially, it was a buy global product where we were buying a gun from South Korea. Subsequently, the Indian company bought out the South Korean firm, and it became an Indian product. But the content of that gun, as it came in the first lot, there was more than 65% international component in it. Now, when we gave them the second order, we have pegged it at 50% and below. And we will try and bring it down to less than 40% when the subsequent orders. Because subsequently, we have to make this product exportable. That is when the amount of money that has been sunk into manufacturing this product gets realized. And that is how defense industry grows. That's how the Americans have set up these huge concerns, where they are able to amortize everything that went into, designing a product, gets amortized, and they bring profit back to the company. So that is possibly something which India needs to aspire to grow. And this indigenization process is a very deliberate and a slow process, requires a lot of research, because you have to ensure that the product that you redesign to replace matches, if not the same, at least, if not better, at least the same level of capacities what you are indigenizing. I would prefer the newer product to be of an upgraded version of the existing component. So, but that notwithstanding, it will involve a degree of research, which all are these concerns which are there, whether it is Larsen and Toubro, or Tata Advanced Systems, or Bharat Forge, or Adani Defense, or Ambani Defense. They're all big ticket producers. They also need to get their production companies, their partners, to indigenize these components. Who will need a degree of research? And IITs, I'm not just leaving it at IIT Madras. IITs per se have a huge degree of intelligentsia which is available, which should be tapped internally through an agency, which is Agnishodh in this case, which can bring the right person for the job, ensure that the right degree of resources are made available in terms of facilities, whether it is labs, whether it's testing facilities, whether it's quality assurance facilities, coordinate the whole thing, ensure that within the time plan that has been laid out for indigenizing that particular component, that component gets indigenized. And not only indigenized, I would say we should even target upgrading it so that we can sell it as an export order to the mother concern from which we bought the earlier version. So that should be the target. And I guess this particular setup that we have created will be a conduit for such kind of research also. And I'm sure there will be companies will be interested to tap this particular resource for that kind of research.
Yeah, I think that was very well said. I think with this we'll at this point of time we'll stop where we are, and we'll take questions, and let's see what answer questions are there, and through the questions we'll give our own views and all that. Okay. 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 Abhitesh Behra says Trump slapped additional 25% tariffs and making it a 50%. We know that. We'll discuss it tomorrow. But this is all the more reason the importance of this system comes in, right? You need to be on your own. Okay, Akash, good evening. Hans, good evening.
So,
Right?
so
And
just wanted to
yeah,
add, if
yeah,
Trump added 50% tariffs, it encourages industry to produce because the
produce
cost of
here.
the equipment goes up. And if it is
Yeah,
cheaper than what is available in the world order,
yeah,
we'll be
yeah.
able to extract more money out of America.
Yeah, I agree with you. Uh, okay. And then, Lofi, good evening. Jay Adi Shankaracharya, we'll see tomorrow about how we should respond to Trump. That's a different story. Today, we have to talk what we can do for ourselves. Okay. Okay. We'll keep talking of Trump for the next, 1 year, 2 years, but today's day is for this. Okay. Ashok Gazula says, good evening. Thanks a lot. Okay. Yeah. Then, yeah, Rohan also says, good evening. Hello. Ramchandran, a new member, thank you for joining in. Right. Okay. Sir, can you expand on the various generations of war or COS mentioned, and also how can civilians contribute in OSINT capabilities? As he mentioned, it's quite accurate when done effectively. Your views?
OSINT has come up in a very, very big way. In fact, I must share with you that OSINT was a major source which we used when the Chinese came calling on us in Ladakh. And we were able to fix a large amount of Chinese movements through this concept of OSINT. And OSINT, because of social media, it comes very fast, and moreover than often, it is very accurate. And there are some where can you contribute if you find something in the system, in the chatter, which you feel can be important as far as OSINT is concerned. You can share it with these platforms which are available on the social media. You can also share it with the armed forces through the ADGPI portal, which is available on Twitter and other social media platforms. Today, even the commands are having their social media handles. You can share it as a comment with them. If you have come across something which you feel has got overlooked because of the huge amount of chatter which is there, let me tell you, there are always shortfalls. You find people are even able to get satellite imageries much easier through OSINT than when the government gets into it. So to that extent, I feel even during Op Sindoor, I believe that's what the chief was mentioning the other day, that OSINT gave a huge amount of inputs. But this was just a 4-day affair, so possibly may not have manifested in the manner in which it manifested during the Chinese incursions, which went over almost for 2 years. And we were able to fix them and also be able to put our forces in the appropriate place to stop and push them back. So that is where OSINT came out in a very, very, very important way, and that's what the chief was trying to allude to. As far as generation of war, I leave it to
Yeah.
General Shankar.
Yeah. Now, if you look at it, the first generation of warfare was all about bow and arrow. Okay. It was pre-industrial generation. The second generation of warfare was the industrial generation of warfare, where you saw the onset of explosives, aircraft, and things like that coming in. The mechanized form of warfare. The third generation of warfare, and that is the second generation of warfare was what actually spans, end of First World War, Second World War. The first generation was older, was before that, the Boer War and all that. It was flintlocks and things like that, and bows and arrows and animals and things like that were still being used. Second generation of warfare was the industrial generation, part of the industrial revolution, right? Mechanization, explosives came of age. Aircraft started appearing in the battlefield. Air power started increasing, right? I'm giving it in a manner which you understand. This is not the classical definition, let me tell you. You have to understand it. The third generation of warfare is the generation of information warfare. I wouldn't say information, networking, communications, and to a large extent, information, right? Information. This is the generation which took place in the Gulf Wars, up to the Gulf Wars, Gulf One, Gulf Two, right? It was all about a lot of the ISR took off in a big way. Satellites started coming in. That was the onset of how satellites were started using. Networking. ISR was the main focus of that generation. Information was the main focus of that generation of warfare. And with that, uh, the fourth generation of warfare, which is today you're into, is the digital generation. This is the generation of AI. This is the generation of cyber. This is the generation of, the space and various other new technologies which are this thing. Uh, you see across all these generations, the nuclear domain has changed also. You've seen miniaturized nukes and new technologies, and a large part of this new generation is the technology domains which have exploded. And this generation is largely a technology driven generation. But let me, at this point of time, also tell you every generation of warfare has been driven by the technology of that generation. Today's generation is AI, cyber, additive manufacturing. Quantum will be the next generation, right? Things like, yeah, cyber, I did mention. Networking, of course, advanced networking, space, robotics, and unmanned systems. So, till the last generation, you went more on manned systems. Today, the unmanned systems were only missiles. Today's generation, unmanned systems are quite a lot more. You're using them for logistics, you're using them for ISR, you're using them for actual attack, and there's a front end integration of reconnaissance and attack. So this is the fourth generation. Okay, so I hope I've explained this everything to you in a simple manner. And of course, what OSINT General Hari Mohan has said, that's it. Okay.
So,
Uh,
if you
yeah,
permit,
please.
yeah. So, I also have a little more to add to the generation of
Yeah,
warfare.
yeah,
Earlier there used to be a lot of ethics in warfare. So when you look at Mahabharata and those period of time, there was a time for war. There used to be a time to stop in the day. People used to have, it was something like a test match, cricket match going on. There used to be a fixed time. There were a lot of ethics, a lot of no, not to do things. Thereafter came what became attrition when Trojan horse and all these things started coming up, especially calibrated from the West and the Middle East. The ethics started going away from warfare. It became more of attrition. Whoever was the stronger one used to ensure that he'll defeat the, the weaker person by force, brute force. But still, there was little degree of ethics. The next thing came out when he started hitting the mind of the person. So that is when the ethics started going out of the game, started playing ways and means to dislocate a person, dislocate the mind from fighting. Thereafter, the next generation which has come in my mind is the generation where it became hybrid. When I say hybrid, it involves both conventional warfare and non-conventional warfare. Non-conventional could be in by, terrorists, militants, non-regular forces. The current warfare, as I look at it, has gone into something we call as the gray zone warfare, where you are in operations, you are in battle, but you are not fighting. What is happening in our China front for the last 6 years or 7 years, we are in the degree of gray zone, where we are fully operational, we are possibly, I'll say, in battle, but not fighting. And there will be skirmishes in between, like one happened in Galwan, which will, take this graph up and down, but we'll somehow come back to that gray zone. This is a kind of very battle which is currently in vogue. If you think Op Sindoor is over, it is not. We have come back into the grey zone as far as Pakistan is concerned. A lot of things are going to happen in this period of time. The next generation, which I am looking at, is what they call as non-contact, non-kinetic battle, which means neither you will be in contact nor you will physically assault. You will try and destroy him and damage him by other means. Those other means could be anything. So these are various generations which one has gone through, and as General Shankar says, every generation is characterized by a degree of technological advances, and as technology grows, the generation of warfare also grows and changes along with it.
yeah. Thanks a lot for that elucidation. I hope that's been put in picture. Then Jeet says, look, we really appreciate the presentation analysis because they don't carry Western biases. Thank you again. I agree with you completely, Jeet. India can only grow if it gets off the Western technology and you create your own structures, you create your own everything. And to that extent, I think what Trump is doing is very good for us. It'll it'll give us a kick on our backside to go, do something for ourselves. And our history is that every time we've been kicked on our backside, we've done achieved something. Your views, Hari.
Absolutely, sir. During the when we went and did the nuclear tests in '97, the entire West slapped a huge number of sanctions on us, technology-based sanctions. The cryogenic engine was denied to us. So, but it didn't stop our space program. If anything, our space program actually leapfrogged from there. It just went from bound to bound. And we were able not only to put a GSLV in space, we were able to send a rocket to the Mars. We were able to send three missions to the moon. So it is because otherwise, for all you know, if those sanctions hadn't been there, we would have continued to stay dependent on Russia and other countries for our space needs, and possibly may not have grown into the kind of space power that we are today. In the same manner, I guess I wish they put more sanctions on us. I must share with you, sir, today just before I came on air, as in a discussion with a classmate of mine, IITN, who left after IIT and now is an entrepreneur in South America. So we were discussing where India is and all that. So he has his own views because he's been out of Indian sphere for the last 4 decades. The basic thing which people who not in India are not understanding, that the India which was there in the 70s is not the India which is there in 2020s. And I'm sure in every year one sees the next generation is far 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 better, and it is good. I believe that people should be very strict with us as far as denying us things, and I'm sure we as a nation, we are the best demographics, as the prime minister says. We have the wherewithal today, and there is nothing that India can't do. It will take time, it will take effort, but we will become what we can
Welcome.
call self-reliant in
Vijay,
our own
Vijay,
space.
Vijay.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I thought that was well elucidated. Now, what does Prasad say? Sir, my hearty congratulations and kudos to your new initiative for bringing for a new beginning. These kinds of programs are a must for better growth. There is a huge gap between industry and academics. Thanks a lot. That's the whole story why we are doing all this. Unless you don't do something new, you'll never, be able to do all this. And I must share it with you. Why did I start this channel called Gunner Shot? I started it with this whole thing. You need to have your own thinking. You need to have belief in your own systems. You need to do everything on your own, and that is why I started Gunner Shot. And I'm glad that many of you are responding. I'm not too bothered about uh, many other things, but I'm very happy that a whole lot of you are coming back. You need to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, then you'll get nothing done. And if you don't, I mean, you can fail, but you can't fail for lack of trying. That's what life is all about. And in my old age, I'm starting this is a new startup, and it's very difficult for me to do all this. I'll be very honest with you, but we have to do it for our nation. As simple as that. Your views are Hari.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, he's been in the IIT for about almost a decade. My experience is only a year-old experience. But some of our faculty that I have interacted with, young boys who have had their fill, they have had their education in the US, they come back extremely energetic, very, very intellectually enabled, and enthusiastic to go. And I'm sure all you need is give them the launch pad, and they'll all be, there to do wonders. The Indian economy hasn't grown leaps and bounds just like that in the last 2 decades. It is because we have the manpower, we have the determination, and we have possibly the right guidance, and that possibly will ensure that we achieve what we set out to. And once Indians set out to achieve something, I'm sure we are ones who will never give up.
Yeah,
So I am very enthusiastic on this particular
yeah.
initiative.
Okay. Anjali joins from Connecticut. Thanks a lot. Then Tana House says, in the United States, the other branches of military don't respect the army. Well, let me tell you, it's the other way around. It's that is, that is their problem. Or we are well respected. We have no
Because
problem.
no, we don't believe in looking beyond our borders, sir. The United States, they are more of a global
Yeah.
force. We are more interested in our own borders. Therefore, the Indian Army is the forefront as far as India is concerned.
Okay. Great initiative. Sincerely hope we have success in this approach. Have worked in DPSU and interaction with DRDO. I understand the thought behind the idea. Hope this becomes a game changer. Oh, very great view. I do also hope it's a game changer. That's the whole
And
idea. Hari, your views.
I hope he comes and joins us and works with us. He's worked with the
Yeah,
DPSU. I guess he can get some good ideas with us.
yeah. I agree with you completely on this. Okay. Yeah, congratulations on new IITM Army venture. Unable to view you see your speech video. Ramchandran, it is I uploaded it, but there are some issues in that. Technical format related issues. It wasn't coming out well, so I pulled it out. So tomorrow I'll resolve it, and by tomorrow evening I'll again put it up. Right. Civilian competition with even DRDO. Yes, I agree. Um, okay.
No, I don't see. I don't see any. Sir, the point was not understood. The point is when two people compete, the best will come out, and you should look at it in that manner. And we
Yeah.
should accept the better one. So that is where it is better that two people do the same problem. The better one succeeds. So I guess competition is in good faith.
Good faith. Okay. Uh, yeah, as mentioned in the speech, this is also an extension of decentralized but still connected when needed. It's just a thing. DIPP should also facilitate easy entry for startups. NCNC is a big entry barrier you use.
Yes, sir. So, firstly, the DPP 20 or sorry DAP 2020 actually is a very good enabler, and IDEX and Make One and Make Two are wonderful solutions, which does not stop people from inventing and innovating. I guess the government has so far, in fact, I must say this that maximum number of projects which have come forward are in the Make One route, where the government is doing all the funding. So NCNC should not be a problem for startups because the hand holding will be from both ends. Now with the IIT, through the IIT, the army helping them with the research gaps, the government giving them the funds to set up shop, and I'm sure they can raise a degree of funds from their own means. They should not get stuck with the NCNC issue. And
Yeah,
by and large, what will happen is we'll take a production partner and realize a product as a product and rather not get into trying to make two people fight for the same thing. So I don't see this as a barrier, sir.
in fact, the whole idea of Agnishodh will enable NCNC. It's an NCNC enabler. Okay. If you have a product, get it. We'll add technology to it, upgrade it, and let show it to the army. If they're happy, we'll try it. And then we'll go. And if you can't give it to the army, go sell it outside also. I have no problem. If the technology is of that nature, they can you put it in the civil use, do it that also. So this is like a you know this is
Win-win.
multi-dimensional. This is a multi-dimensional approach which I've taken. It's not so simple. It's very complicated, and you need it. I wouldn't say complicated. It's very simple in its idea, but it has
Vast.
various ability. Yeah, it's vast. Okay, I have noticed in my own life and observing Lieutenant General Shankar, entrance generalists, integrators are needed in today's disruptive innovation environments. Ivory towers interface to the ground reality. I completely agree with you. We have no doubt
Totally
about it.
agree. Totally agree, sir.
Yeah, how can humanities students contribute, participate in this? You have to use your imagination and go. When I upload the chief's address, you'll see. He said, "Look, it is not that everything in the battle will be technology. A lot of that will be part of humanities. people who are going to actually work in the battlefield are humanities related. So I'm sure there is whole scope of people who can contribute to this thing. You can contribute as a humanities student by, thinking of terrain, you're thinking of climate, and so many other things, your ideas, right? Those are more important than whether you are a technologist or a humanities student. Your views, Hari.
So I will give an example of Facebook. Why I'm using the word Facebook is Facebook by nature brings humans together. It's more humanity oriented. And unless and until somebody had conceived it in the manner that it is, it wouldn't have reached where it is today. So similarly, there are a large number of applications which requires the human mind to first conceive it. How it has to appear or how it is to be constructed comes through the technology. But what is required comes and needs to come from the human brain. Whether it's a computer, whether it's a mobile, whether it's an app running on a mobile, even let's say simple things like Blinkit and Zomato, etc. They are human ideas, and they have been made realized through technical manner. So
Yeah.
humanities are very much required, and you are possibly loaded with those ideas with a technical mind can't have. I am personally a humanities guy. I am the guy who brings the humanity aspects into this system. Please come join us.
Okay. We'll do a little fast forward. We should identify all industrial capacity already functioning on our nation that can be reinforced and integrated into a larger framework. I agree with you. Then startups are good and will work fine with things like drones, etc. For medium and heavy duty industrial products, startups will not have necessary experience. We know that. We are okay. The requirements in the armed forces are huge, and the resources to get all that is low, and this is just a resource for the armed forces. Okay, in our country it has always been lack of support, resource, platforms, and access. We have plenty of hungry talented individuals looking for them. How to connect them both is much needed. That is the reason why this whole story has come up. Okay, right. Is there any mechanism like floating requests for comments or posing challenges for researchers? Most researchers should prove their competence and quality so that the government money is well spent. Yes, that's on the cards. We're going to hold challenges. One of the first challenges, which is going to be held in September, October, is on cyber hacking or something like that. That proposal has already come to me, and we're going to hold it. We're going to hold drone competitions. We're going to hold rocket competitions. A whole lot of competitions we're going to hold, so that the talent comes up, and it has talent has a platform in which it can, you know present itself. Okay. Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Yeah, yeah, please.
there is a web page of the Army Design Bureau which puts the problem statement which the army is looking at, and it is open to everybody. People can look at it. If they feel they can contribute in that research, they can connect with the Agnishodh, and we will connect them to the concerned person who's working on that particular problem, and they can, if required, research along with it. It's very much feasible.
Yeah, the whole thing is the idea of Agnishodh is that it will be an enabler. It will be connector. It will be a bridge, and it's going to be user friendly. It's going to be startup friendly. We're going to be friends for everyone. That's the main thing, right? Uh, yeah, Rational Buddha says hello everyone. Morning. How are you, Rational? Right. Ajit Odekar says, congrats, sir. This is the first step in the right direction of becoming Atmanirbhar Bharat. Very good initiative. Big salute. Thanks a lot, Odekar, sir. So nice. Incidentally, Ajit Odekar is a gunner, and he's senior to me by 4 5 years. And we've been bachelors together. And I do appreciate the fact that he's taken time off to come and listen to us. Okay. With the effect of reciprocal defense procurement agreement between India and USA and Indo-China relations, especially in what is the effect? Yeah,
I was expecting this question to come. Yes,
yeah,
sir,
yeah,
it will have an effect. And
yeah, yeah. It'll happen.
reciprocal defense procurement is going to be the order of the day. And somebody was mentioning about Trump's 25% tariffs. I'm sure one of the googlies the Indian government has already bowled is this RDPA, or Reciprocal Defense Procurement Agreement, which has been signed. So he is bound to now go by it, and you will find that it will help us when we finally close the trade deal. Whenever it may not happen in September, I'm very sure it's going to take time, but this is a very good initiative towards that.
Yeah. Uh, Malika Praveen says, sir, heartiest congratulations on Agnishodh. I am proud of our armed forces and feel the same way. Being member of Ganashot, this was long overdue. Thanks a lot. Right?
Sir, that
And
reminds me, sir, we should do a show on this reciprocal defense
yeah, we'll do it.
procurement
We'll do it as
agreement
part of this.
sometime, because it has
Yeah.
got long-term ramifications.
Yeah, we'll do that. We prepare for it. We'll do it next week. There's no
We'll do it
problem.
sometime next fortnight or so.
Okay. Yeah, with regards to data security, it may be useful to set up an email service for the citizens of Bharat. In present, all our data resides on foreign services across the globe and is either on sale or being curated as products. Yeah, even DigiLocker itself could expand to provide this. Yeah, I agree
I'm
with
sure.
you.
I'm sure we'll have our own systems going very soon.
Yeah,
We'll be making
yeah,
sure that we meet all the requirements.
yeah. Good luck to generals. We are proud of you. Thanks a lot. Raiku says IIT Bombay has surprised Madras in terms of patented patents. Good luck to them. We have no problem. We are
No,
not in
no, no.
competition with them
We
on
will
this.
compete.
No, no, we will not. We are not envious
We'll
of
make
them
our own. We'll
technology.
make our own.
We'll make our own. We'll do it in our own way. Right? Most universities and research institutions have substantial facilities woefully underutilized due to rivalry among the academia. Hope this address. Yeah, that's the hope. Okay. So, any plans to introduce a new curriculum of courses to prepare a group of engineers specialized in different technologies,
Very good
a
idea.
few technologies to provide more employment in this
Very good
sector?
idea. Very good idea, sir.
Yeah. Look, it's already on. Let me tell you, because I have been into this for a little longer time than Hari. So, let me answer this. 8 years back, I started two courses in IIT Madras, which I used to take, which I'm from next thing onwards, others will start taking. That is on introduction to defense technologies and niche defense technologies. And these defense technologies, both are electives offered to MTech and PhD students. It's there still, it's there in the curriculum of IIT Madras. Only thing is, for the past 2 years, because of other issues, I've not been able to take the courses. So that's the start point of entry into the defense oriented technologies. And then we've also started MTech special technologies curated for a particular defense technology. We have started it for ammunition and things like that, and this is going to happen as we roll out. For example, we already started an executive MBA program for NDC, right, with a lot of technology in for army officers, senior army officers, leadership level. Now for DPSUs who are into for HAL, for MIL, Munitions India Limited, we are getting their people to do MTechs, right? With based on the projects they need, based on technologies they need. So we are on it. Point taken. Okay. Smoking Panda, Jai Hind. Sai Automation, Jai Hind. Right. So Vinayak Ramnarayan sir, he's a brigadier AD. Thanks a lot. Excellent initiative. Thank you. Opportunities for set for budding minds. Yeah. Armies of the world are larger than Air Force and Navy. I completely certain amount of turf war is always there. But I'm very disappointed that General Dushyant is speaking on the comment. I wish he had been here on the platform. It would have been better. Yeah, before taking out a fence, we should check why it was there in the first place. Before we allow civilian and defense projects, shouldn't we check twice? Yeah, your view on this?
Firstly, most of these technologies that we are taking on are, as of now, dual use. If you look at a drone, it is as much usable in the civil sphere as it is available or required in the military sphere. So therefore, we will keep that thing in mind. We will ensure that there is separation where that is required and commonality where that is required, and that the degree of security will be maintained. It is not that everything will be kept open to everything. There will be due processes which are, and they are already there. The When the Army Design Bureau puts out things, only things which don't have a high degree of security are put out in the open. Rest are pushed through other channels of research. So there should be
Yeah.
no reason why we should get worried on this aspect. But thank
Yeah,
you
I'm
for
not
putting it.
going. Yeah, it's okay. We'll take it positively. KD Raya says, Namaskaram, thanks a lot. I'm not taking questions on Trump's 25%. Tomorrow we'll do that. No hurry. That fellow is not going to go off anywhere, and neither is India going to go off. Okay, right. Okay, I think we've done the thing. Last thing, Somnath Sanganeria, he says, thank you, General Sirs, relevant initiative, wishing the best to all of you. Not to all of you, to all of us. Okay. With this, thanks a lot, Hari, for joining in, and thanks a lot for those of you who joined in. For everyone, please like this video and share it with your friends. It's very important that you share it with your friends. And this is a new initiative. Uh, Let me tell you, this has more value than what we can discuss about Trump and 25% tariffs. So I would request all of you to pass this on. If you have got a Fauji friend, give it to him. Tell him, look, these are two old generals who are doing something. Why don't you listen to them? Something like that. Okay? And take the thing whole forward. Your last words, Hari, and then we'll close.
So, firstly, civil military fusion in technology, as we go along, like I said, tomorrow's warfare is going to be very blurred. It is not going to have very clear lines where civil ends and where military starts. Same will go with technology. The internet, which started as a military requirement, is become a necessity for civil today. And we have to, have branches of, isolated nets on which the armed forces are working today. So it's very difficult to separate the two. As far as academia is concerned, we should look at it as a universal requirement and take it forward. And it is necessary that all elements of academia and research come together. It includes the agencies which require the research, the agencies which can do the research, the agencies which can enable the research, and the agencies which can ensure that the research is subsequently used to produce something which it is meant for. So, if until and unless all these chains come together, as a nation, we will not grow. And thankfully, with this government's initiative, by and large number of things are coming into place. Like I said, we started late, so the effects will come later, a little later. I am also using this to convey certain issues to some of my friends who were a little apprehensive about the way India is growing. We should have faith in the country. We should have faith in the system. The system is today oriented in the right manner, and I'm sure everybody, including all of us, we are here to take the dreams of 1.4 billion people to their logical conclusion. And civil
Yeah.
military fusion in technology is essential for everybody, and I'm sure people will contribute in their own minds. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for everything. And at the end, Jai Hind to all of you, and Jai Hind to you also, General Hari.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.